You taking the time today. Hey, can you tell us what you look for when recruiting safeties? As a guy who's played the position at high level, I'm sure you have a good feel for it, but is it more than just physical stuff, or are there kind of mental attributes? Can you take us through that, please?
Yeah, I think the first thing, me personally, when I'm looking for a safety is, does the kid love football, and um, does he have a desire to play and compete? I think in all football, like if the kid doesn't have a desire to play or doesn't really love this sport, it's hard. It's hard to play at this level. So that's first and foremost. And then obviously you got to get into all the, the physical traits, height, weight, speed. And then, also I'm trying to looking for just guys that got natural football instinct. Playing safety, I think it's a lot of just natural seeing the ball, knowing angles, and just know how to attack the ball on every play. It all comes at you in different ways each play. So guys that just kind of understand football and have a love and passion for it, and also just being a contact tough person. This is the Big Ten, so you want them to have, some contact toughness.
Let's go to Greg Pickle with Penn Live.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, I'm curious, kind of on that recruiting note, where are some of the areas you focused on most in a recruiting sense over your time between Virginia and UConn and Purdue, and where will you handle region-wise, territory-wise, now that you're at Penn State, beyond, of course, the safeties?
Well, when I was at Virginia and UConn, I predominantly was in the Washington, D.C. area, Northern Virginia, Maryland area. When I went out to Purdue, I still had that area, but I stretched pretty much from Virginia all the way up to Maine. I really had the whole Northeast. And I did have some Midwest. I had Illinois at one point. I had, obviously a piece of Indiana and some Ohio. So I think they're going to let me focus in on the DMV, maybe Michigan, and, a little bit of Indiana. So I'm excited about it. And, for me, it's just about making relationships and being able to go talk to the coaches and talk to the kids in that area and just try to create a relationship. And, Penn State sells itself. So that's an easy point. It's one of the best schools in the country. So that's going to be easy.
Let's go to Audrey Snyder with The Athletic.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I wanted to ask you about kind of your relationship with Coach Franklin, and how did that come about? What's kind of the background there with James? How long have you known him?
Well, I actually kind of met Coach Franklin when I first started coaching. When I became a full-time coach at UVA, we kind of had the same recruiting areas, and he had a relationship with guys I was working with on the staff, and we met each other and just became good buddies and down through the years and kept up with each other. And I've been watching him from afar and knowing the great work he's doing with the teams he had at Vanderbilt and obviously here at Penn State. So we just been friends. We met a long time ago, and we didn't talk a few times about job offers he had, but it just wasn't the right timing. But this year was the right time, and I felt good about my family and myself and the situation that I was coming to. So it just became the right time for me to join the staff.
Let's go to Donnie Collins with the Scranton Times Tribune, and Parth, you're on deck.
Anthony, thanks for doing this.
All right, no problem.
Awesome. When you were a kid growing up, learning the game, getting ready to play college football, what was your thoughts on Penn State? What the tradition there, and what does it feel like to kind of be there now?
It's kind of crazy because, unlike nowadays where you can get every college game, every level on any channel you can buy, you just want to buy the channels. Like when I grew up, my parents had 3 channels. You had to turn a little click dial that you had to 13, 10, 7. So the football games you saw were regional, and most of the games I saw were Penn State games. So obviously it's every kid's dream to play at Penn State in this kind of environment, this kind of stadium. And I actually did get recruited by Penn State, but for me, it was more so just staying closer to home. And I really had never left my hometown, so Virginia made more sense. But obviously I've been watching Penn State and following Penn State for a long time.
Next question is Parth Apalier with Center Daily Times, and Rich Scarcella, you're on deck.
Hey, Anthony, appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, now that you've been around this team for, I guess, a week and a half or so, what most excites you about the group you have to work with in the Penn State Safeties?
Well, they just good kids, man. They're good kids. I mean, I know you as media, the fans, you see the kid as the player and what he do on the football field, but just being around them, watching them work, how they didn't open their arms for me and my family. And it's hard when you have a coach that a lot of them, probably recruited by Coach Banks and stuff like that. And, a new guy come in. So, you're trying to wonder what he going to bring different, how is he going to be? And, I think they've been very open with me and really trying to just understand my style, my method, and really helping me along the way, teaching me, the defense as well and how they do things here. So, I mean, I'm excited just to work with them. They're great kids and, obviously they're talented and just looking forward to it.
Rich Scarcella with the Reading Eagle and John Petishnock, you're on deck.
Hi, Anthony. Thanks for the time today.
Yeah, Rich.
Hey, I have a two-part question. First, what impact, or can you describe the impact that George Welsh had on you, on your life and your career? And secondly, when did you first start thinking about coaching, and how much did the knee injury affect that decision?
Well, it's incredible the impact that Coach Welsh had on first off, my life, one, and then my playing career. And people that know Coach, he wasn't the easiest person to talk to. And, I swear, like for the 5 years I was at UVA, I was kind of scared to talk to him and nervous. I was a two-time captain there, and I was still scared to walk into to talk to him one-on-one. But, the few times that I did go in there and talk to him one-on-one, I kind of saw another side of him. He really cared about me. I mean, I had a decision to make as a junior to come out or stay in college. And, I was like, Coach, I want to stay and I want to play for you. And he looked at me and he was like, you need to do what's best for your family. You done a lot for me and this program. And, if you want to come back, you come back. But I'm giving you my blessing. I think, if you want to leave, I understand. And it would be a good decision. And after I had that conversation, when I never thought he felt that way, I thought he would be more like, you need to stay, blah, blah, blah. But once we had that conversation, I knew how much he cared for me, and he respected me as a person, as a player, and he respected, my upbringing and what my family situation was. So I love him to death. He passed a year and a half ago or whatever it was, and I got a chance to speak at his memorial, which was a great honor for me. But he just really impacted my life and impacted, really my coaching career and how I look at coaching. Obviously, after the knee injury, you're standing there and it's like, I don't really know how much farther I can go in ball. I knew I wasn't going to come back, ever be, 100%. And I got a shot in the league. I played 2 years, got cut the third year. But the whole time I was like, what can I do to still be in football and impact young people's lives? So I got the great opportunity to go back and coach with under Al Groh at the University of Virginia. And, that's how I started my career. And it's been the best thing I've done.
Thank you.
Let's go to Frank Bodani with the York Daily Record and Joe Giuliano, you're on deck. Sorry, Frank, you there?
Yep, I'm here. Thanks a lot. Coach, talk about your success as a player in college, how that relates to recruiting and coaching. Is there, how do you bring that? How do the kids respond in this day and age to that?
I'm like a dinosaur. I played so long ago that the kids really, most of the kids I'm talking to nowadays don't really, either they don't know or they ain't done the research or whatever. So I kind of let them stumble upon that on their own. But for me, it's really not about my career. It's about the person I'm coaching's career. And I try to use lessons that I learned while I was playing, while I was coming up through, and things that I saw on the field as a player that I can relate to them. Maybe you need to look at it this way. I think them the lessons I try to teach them. I don't try to, oh man, I was this kind of player, I was that kind of player. Each player different. And first off, you can't even play the game the way we played it back in 25 years ago. You can't hit the same way. You can't tackle the same way. It's a lot of the rules and changed for the better. But I'm like a sounding board to them, you know, and I think sometimes when I tell them something, they know my cleats been in the same spots their cleats been in. So they more receptive to it. But, you know, I try to coach them all in a way of bringing the best of their abilities out. We recruit them for a certain ability we saw on tape, and I'm not trying to coach them out of making plays. So just get them in our structure, try to help them learn our system, and then let them go. I want them to play free. I want them to, you know, play confident, and I want them to have fun playing football.
Joe Giuliano with the Philadelphia Inquirer, and T. Frank, you're on deck.
Hello, Anthony. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you.
I wondered who were some of the coaches as you came up in the coaching ranks who were your influence, and what did you take from a couple of them that cemented your philosophy of coaching these kids?
Well, Joe, I tell you what, man, I've been so fortunate as a player, from Little League all the way through high school. My head coach in high school, Bob Christmas, my head coach at UVA, and all the position coach, my D coordinator, Rick Lance. Obviously, we had talked about George Welsh. You know, the first head coach I worked for, Al Groh, and Mike London, Bob Diaco, and obviously Coach Jeff Brom. I've been fortunate to be around people that do it the right way, good people, willing to let you learn. Obviously, you know, work ethic, detail. Like I say, like all the stuff I'm talking about, I want guys that love football. I learned that at an early age. If you didn't love football, it was going to be hard for you. And most of the coaches I've had through my career, that's been their main thing. You got to love playing football. So I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great coaches, a lot of great mentors. And obviously I played with a lot of great players, but all those coaches were the same. You know, they love the kids. They love coaching us, teaching us, and they push me every day to be my best. And even if you ain't the best player, if you just push the player to be his best every day, he'll help the team some kind of way. So that's the philosophy I'm taking from all of them.
Thomas Frank Carr, Blue White Illustrated, and Tyler Donahue, you're on deck.
Hey, Anthony, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too, my friend.
You mentioned football instincts a couple of times, and you've helped identify a lot of players who seem to have that, from Juan Thornhill to Obi Melanfonwu, either coaching or recruiting those guys. Can you teach football instincts and, you know, how to make plays on the ball and stuff like that? Or is that something that you have to identify and then bring into the program?
Obviously, it's a lot easier when the kid bring that trait to you. I think it's like speed. For somebody to say you're going to teach speed, it's, you know, at a certain point you can get a kid faster, but if he just fast, he fast. Like you not really, he can roll out of the bed, and like Obi Melanfonwu, he could have rolled out of the bed and ran a 4.4. It won't like, oh my goodness, he got to go stretch and do all this. But far as teaching the football instinct, I think it's, to a certain extent you can teach them and help them, give the keys to try to become a more instinctive football player. But it also helps when the kid just naturally can do that, and he got a confidence of what he's seeing. So that's why I like to recruit a lot of kids that played on offense, played running back, played wide receiver, multi-sport athletes, basketball player, you know, obviously baseball. You know, if you can track a little white ball that's flying up through the air off of a bat, you should be able to catch a big brown pigskin coming off somebody's arm. So all kinds of stuff that if the kid can have it in him, it makes the transition to this level a lot easier. But in a certain instance, you can teach them to be a better, more instinctive football player. And, you know, you just got to learn each kid, though.
Let's go to Tyler Donahue, Lions 247.
Hi, Anthony. Welcome to town. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for the time.
You mentioned before having that decision about staying or going at the college level. You walk into a room now that Jaquan Brisker faced that decision not too long ago, and having him stick around on the roster as that bonus year as a senior, can you give an assessment of what you think he stands to gain to kind of get a reward at the end of that decision? And anyone else specifically through these winter workouts you can mention to us that have stood out to you?
Well, I think first off, it goes by Brisker staying, it goes to the culture that Coach Franklin has in place here. When I made that decision to stay in school, I loved college. I didn't really want to leave college. I was comfortable in college. I knew the money that I was turning down, but I was just having fun in college. So obviously Brisker must be feeling the same way. You know, he could have left, and, you know, obviously that goes to what the coaching staff and the administrators have created here and the environment they created here, that a kid say, man, you know what? I got one more year. I want to come back and play and try to win a championship or try to finish it off the right way. He's a beautiful kid. I think he has a lot to gain, you know, probably won't in the round that he wanted to be in, but at the same time, I think he coming back for all the right reasons. He loved his teammates. He want to be a college player again. You know, being around this kid is he's been awesome. And he has no ego. He humble. He want to learn. He always asking me questions. So I'm excited to coach him. I really am. And I'm just looking forward to working with him once we get on the grass. I think all the kids can show me. And then, look, I've been here a week, so I don't want to start to go in detail. Like, I know what this guy can do. I ain't really actually watched him play football at all. You know, we've been doing kind of winter workout style stuff. But, you know, I'm just looking at them. These kids love to work. They're willing to get coached. And they love their teammates. They want to be, you know, on the Penn State football team. So when I add all that stuff up, it's going to be hard not to have a good group.
All right, we've made it through the list. We got time for some more questions here. If you guys have a follow-up question, if you could use the raise your hand feature, that would be great. It's changed on Zoom a little bit. If you go to the bottom of your screen and click on reactions, there's the raise hand feature. I see we have some raised hands coming in here. So let's go to T. Frank. You have a follow-up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of follow up on the idea about versatility. Versatility means a lot of things to a lot of different schemes when it comes to secondary. And I was just wondering what your thought about what versatility means when playing safety.
Well, versatility, you can tackle, you can play, you know, man-to-man, you can play in the high zone, you can play in the low zone, you can play close to the ball, you can blitz. So when a kid can have that kind of tool set, it don't limit you to what side of the field you got to put him on. Boundary field. He can really play anywhere. And you look for a lot of guys like that. You look for multiple position players, you know, and good athletes, good football players. So I think when I'm talking versatility, that's what I'm talking about. They can just do a little bit of everything on the back end. They're not limited in what I can ask them to do as far as the defensive scheme.
Audrey Snyder with The Athletic.
Hey, Anthony, I talked with your good pal Aaron Brooks last week.
Oh, Brooksy.
Yeah, and he was telling me some good stuff, but he said that the thing that makes you good as a coach and as a recruiter is your ability to relate to people and kind of having that experience as a people person. Where does that come from?
Well, I can't take credit for it. I'm a little country boy, and it really comes from my mom and dad. And, you know, I really didn't have much growing up. You know, but I did have two parents at home that loved me, and I had a big net of family around me that loved me. And I just watched how they treated people, you know, whether you had a ton or you had nothing, they treated people all the same. And quick story, this might be all, my dad, his brother was murdered in a club by a guy that lived around the corner from us. And the guy didn't have a car, so the guy would be walking down the street and my dad would stop and pick him up. You know, like the guy would be walking and he needed a ride to the store. He needed a ride somewhere. My dad would stop and pick him up. And I'm thinking to myself, if my dad can forgive and, you know, and see good in somebody that murdered his brother, you must have, he got he a saint, and he got a soul that's so big and so good that who am I to be any different? So I try to pattern myself after my folks. I try to pattern myself after my family. And I just want to be good to people, you know, like, and I ain't saying this, I'm not a hunky-dory dude. Like, you know, I'm not a fake lightweight, but I just think it's the right way to treat people. And And so, and if I didn't, my dad would be up here and he would be correcting me. So he's 75 years old and he still can bend me over his knee. So I just try to do the right thing by him.
Let's go to Nate Bauer with Blue Light Illustrated, and Dave Jones, you're on deck.
Anthony, James has talked a lot over the years about, kind of the priority that he places on turnover generation, specifically coming from the secondary. I'm just wondering how that aligns with your philosophy towards coaching the position.
You were saying, and repeat that for me now.
James emphasizes the priority that he places on turnover generation.
Turning the ball over.
Yeah, turning the ball,
okay.
Getting interceptions, that kind of stuff. How does that align with your philosophy towards coaching the position?
Well, I tell the guys in the room, like, you have an opportunity to turn the ball over. We can win the game. These are game-changing, life-changing, program-changing plays. And you all on this line have seen it. You have a great opportunity to make a pick, the guy drop it. Next play, next 2 or 3 plays, the offense do something great, or they burn enough clock where you don't get the ball back. So I'm a high emphasis on trying to get the ball. When the opportunity comes to you, you got to make the play, and that's why I want them to play free. I want them to play, hey, look, I'm not saying you gambling, but you're going to practice a certain way that in the game, I know I can make this play. And when the play presents itself to make, I'm going to make it. So, yes, obviously in the back end, you have to turn the ball over. I mean, get interceptions, fumble recoveries, cause fumbles, all kinds of stuff. So it's a big part of it. And, it really does help the team win.
Let's go to Dave Jones with Penn Live, and Mark Brennan, you're on deck.
Anthony, I am old enough to remember when you played. I just went back and watched, one of the most enjoyable games I ever saw 25 years ago, 32-28. And went back and watched that last play when Warwick Dunn got the direct snap against you guys. And it was looking tight, looking tense. This is kind of a 2-part question. To me, from the outside, it looks like safeties have more of a demand on them than ever before with the way offenses have changed since then. And when I looked at where you were lined up on a slot receiver at the time, and you came way over and helped Adrian Burnham make that tackle. You had to come a long way. And if you hadn't recognized it almost right away, I guess you probably wouldn't have made it. So if you can blend those two together, go ahead.
Well, yeah, obviously the game totally different than when I played. You were seeing a lot of 2-back, a lot of tight end, more box play. And nowadays the safety out in space, everything spread out. They actually got to be better athletes than I ever was to play this day and age. I would struggle, I think, in this modern day football, just because the space. I can't say I was the most flexible. I was a decent athlete, but I didn't have the speed to run with some of these slot receivers and stuff like that nowadays. But that play, actually, I was playing linebacker that game. And I don't know. That's why I say, like, about the instinct. I just saw it. People ask me, like, what happened? What did you read? I don't know. I saw the ball go into his hand. I started running to my left. I tripped over somebody, and I just fell into you fall into the play. But it goes to show what I tell kids all the time is, man, you never give up. It's only one ball. Once you know where the ball declare on defense, that's the beauty of playing defense. We all got an opportunity to make the play. And I played with so many great players on that defense. And at that time, that if you didn't run to the ball with all you had no chance to make any kind of stat. So, I think it's just a product of how our coaches coached us and, what they instilled into us. Once the ball declared, you got to go get it.
Let's go to Mark Brennan with Fight On State, and Nubias Wilborn, you're on deck.
Anthony, how much of a help has Jonathan Sutherland been during this transition? He's a captain, a guy who's been around kind of forever. And do you have a specific area on special teams that you may help with?
Well, to answer the second part, I think Coach Franklin do a great job. The whole staff involved with special teams. And so I'll be involved with all the special teams aspects, whatever Coach would want us to would do. And I'm excited about that role. Sutherland is a wonderful kid. And I actually recruited him out of high school. I was at UConn at the time. And what a great kid he is. And, you know, for as good as a player, he's even better person. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. Again, he's one of those guys I'm leaning on to help me with the playbook and help me with, you know, what they've been told. And he really get me up to steam on how we run defense here. So he's an awesome young man. I'm excited to work with him, and what a pleasure to be around him every day.
Tobias Wilborn with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and Tyler Donahue, you're on deck.
Hey, thanks for doing this, and excuse my camera having some Wi-Fi issues at the homestead, man. So
yeah, I get it.
But hopefully, God willing, I'll see you in person sometime soon. Anyway, you were talking about Brisker earlier. What makes a journey? I know you're just getting to know the kid, so I want to ask this carefully, but what makes a journey of recovery that he's going to have to deal with so tough, and how can you relate to it from your own personal experiences?
You saying
the journey of recovery, getting back in the fold, getting back to the player he wants to be. You were saying that earlier, as far as like him wanting to be better, him trying to get that next level as a player.
Well, I just think, you know, each year you get better as a player. And I think the growth of being a great player last year, now he can come back in, and it ain't so much schematic for him now. It's more the nuances of how to play the plays. I could have done this better if I'd have saw this sooner. How I want to attack this formation, how I want to attack this receiver. You know, it's all kinds of little nuances as you get older as a player. It's not so much the scheme anymore. I know the scheme. I know the techniques they're trying to teach me. Now I can start to put my stamp on it. I want him to put his stamp on playing safety. All right, we recruited him for a certain reason. He got these, I mean, you look at this kid run and jump and stuff like that. He got, I mean, athletic ability that I never had. And I wanted to shine on every time the ball roll over that he is comfortable in who he is and executing our scheme with his stamp on it. And I think that's what's going to propel him into that elite status as a safety going into the draft next year.
We have time for two more questions. Tyler Donahue, Lions 247, Nate Bauer, you're on deck.
Yeah, when you're looking for the right combination back there at safety this year and the right two deep, are you exploring other areas of the roster? Is that a conversation you'll have with Brent Pry and James Franklin about guys you maybe see on the field this spring that could be a fit at safety, but they're not there right now? Is that something that you're open to conversation with, and you feel like the staff is open to conversation with?
Well, I think the staff always trying to find the best places to put the kids that have on the roster to be successful. So for me to say that right now, I couldn't really say it. You know, obviously once we start, you know, spring practice and things start moving and, you know, guys moving up and guys moving down, I think just being around the staff for a week, you know, they're always willing to get the guys in the right spots to help the team win. And like I say, I'm not really down that road that far. I'm excited about the 8 guys I got in my room right now and how they gonna come along. And, you know, by the end of spring, I probably could answer that question a little bit better.
Nate Bauer, you could close it up.
Whether it's now or down the line, do you anticipate there being any benefits to having some familiarity with the Big Ten, you know, just having a few seasons at Purdue?
I think so. I think being in this conference for 4 years and knowing the style of ball and knowing the style of offenses that you're going to face from week to week, it definitely helps, you know. So I'm not coming in here, you know, when I went to UConn from Virginia, it was 2 totally different conferences, you know, like, so I had to get adjusted to what we were going to see on Saturdays there and what I was calling the defense against. Going from the American to the Big Ten was like night and day. But now that I've been in the Big Ten, I'm, you know, just going to the other side of the Big Ten. We ain't had crossovers with most of the teams. So I kind of familiar with what their systems are, what their schemes are, what kind of personnel they're playing with. So it is a big help that I've been in this conference for, you know, now going on 5 years.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
No, I appreciate y'all. Thanks.